Hi.
My name is Kevin.
Kevin. Welcome, Kevin.
The first thing I want to do is thank you for sharing your teaching. It's meant a lot
welcome.
in my life. I kind of follow up on a little bit of what she was talking about with effortless effort. I sit every morning for about an hour, and basically what I do when I sit is I just kind of sit. When thoughts arise, I ask the question, is that true? 99% of the time it's very obvious that it's not. It just drops away. Sometimes it's not so obvious. I sit with the question for a while, but eventually it drops away. When it drops away, I just ask, what is true?
Yeah.
I just kind of sit with that.
Yeah, good.
Then throughout the day, I try to carry the same thing throughout the day. So I'm at work or home or whatever, and a thought arises, I get caught up in it, but once, it clicks that I'm caught up in it, I'm able to ask the question, is that true? Same sort of scenario, and I just kind of carry that throughout the day. I try to do that with effortless effort each day. The last year, that's intensified. My ability to do that has intensified to the point where all the crutches that I had that propped up myself in difficult situations and helped me to get through those or made me feel good about things have all been knocked out.
Yeah.
So what has happened is I'm in a state where, things are like, somebody was talking about juice earlier. All the juice is gone. And things are just kind of flatlined all the time.
Yeah.
It's like I've got this great family, wonderful home, great career. It's beautiful outside. The birds are singing, and I'm flatlined.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to ask you in person because I've never had a chance to. I study your tapes and your DVDs and all of that. And I know you're not going to give me a 3-point plan to deal with that.
You never know.
Well, I also know that pointers are for that particular reason. We can get, like this, and a pointer is just enough to get us, moving in a certain direction.
Exactly.
So my question is actually pretty simple. Am I overthinking this, overdoing this?
I wouldn't say necessarily overthinking or overdoing. It's just that you need the next element is necessary now, because the way that you've questioned all your thinking, and it kind of starts to undermines all the thought processes and all that. But it can, it's sort of in the East what they would call neti process, right? Oh, okay, this isn't true, this isn't true, this isn't true, this and so you can get down to, finally it almost encompasses everything.
Right.
And then that's kind of a desert.
Right.
Right? Because what you're experiencing is all the stuff that you thought had reality and truth, all those patterns of thinking and stuff have no reality. So there's no juice anymore. So the next thing is to aim it now closer than thought, to aim it, the inquiry right back to you. Because like you said, I've been doing this questioning, I've been doing this all of my life and for the past year or two, and now I'm at this point where everything's a flat line. And you notice everything, it's built into the way we speak, we're always referencing ourselves, right? I'm doing this, and this is how I'm feeling, and this is what I got out of it. And it's so we're always referencing a self, which is fine. But where it really gets quite powerful is when you realize that, wait a minute, what is all this referencing? What is this what is this thing I call myself constantly, you see? So you either deal with being sort of in a flatline place, not much juice, not much vitality, and you try to change that. But really, more importantly, is the missing element is the discovery of you. You're the thing with all the vitality. You see, what you are. You now know you're not all those thought streams, right? But what's left? What's there really when you aren't a thought stream? That's the really important thing. That's what brings life back to this. That's what brings vitality back to it, right? You've gotten the negative part. I'm not this, not that, not this thought. That thought's not true. That one's not true. You've taken that negative approach. It's great. Now you have to find almost the opposite thing. You. What is this thing I call myself? Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the first thing you know when you really look at that question honestly, the first thing you know is your mind doesn't have the answer.
Right.
That's why it kind of goes, And it doesn't have the answer because when you look for this elusive self, you keep not finding it, right? And yet some joker like me is saying, but you need to find this, you see? You have to find out what this thing is, what you are. You have to find out what this is. And you keep looking inside and you keep not finding it. And so your mind keeps kind of tilting, right? Wait, okay, maybe I have to look again, right? But the question, remember, a question is, what's relevant about the question is not so much the answer, it's where it draws your attention to. So the question is, what is this thing called me, right? Who is this guy that's doing this, questioning his thoughts, and he's got him to this place? What's this thing that's right in the center of my existence? What's this me? And you keep looking for it, and it's not there. That's a very important part of the question. It's to draw your attention to that. That may not be the final answer, but that's really important. That this me, this little guy behind all these things I'm doing, he's not actually here. If I asked you to show me your foot, it would be easy, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Or your arm, or your head, or your glasses, or God, anything. But isn't it strange when I ask you to present yourself that we all kind of go, You would think it would be the most obvious thing, wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. More obvious than your foot or your glasses or anything else. And yet, it's not, is it? It's not an object. You can't find it like that.
So be with the question of, what am I?
Yes. And be with the first part. The first part of the answer, it's not the entire answer, but it's the first part of the answer is, I don't know. Now that's, I don't know, that as a thought has one kind of experience. As actual lived experience, I don't know, actually has a certain mysterious vitality to it. Because it's a very vital thing to know that you don't even know your own self. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you're judging that in thought, then it's not vital at all. But if you don't know, it's kind of like a kid going, how far away is the moon? Right? It's a vital, curious, mysterious thing the kid's asking, right? And if an adult goes in and goes, well, Johnny, it's 356,000, miles and 2 yards and 3 inches, or whatever the hell it is. At that moment, the wonder's kind of like, thanks, you kind of blew it for me, actually. Because that doesn't tell the kid anything about the mysterious distance between him and the moon. It's not really his answer. That's the quality. You see, that curiosity. Here I am, but I can't find myself. What could be more fantastic than that? What could be more mysterious, more paradoxical? Do you see? Mm-hmm. And we keep looking for ourselves as a thing. But it's not there because we're not a thing, are we? We're certainly not limited to a thing. So just living with that. Living with that. Because see, everything eventually always points back to you. You are the doorway to the infinite. You're it.
And I kind of moved away from that.
Yeah.
When I read Sri Ramana,
Yeah.
It became so obvious that the sense of I that I had was such a fiction.
Yeah.
That even asking the question, what am I?
Yeah.
Even that became like almost a ludicrous question to
Seems
ask.
silly.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So I moved in a different direction of just what is true, because it just seemed ridiculous.
What is true will work. It seems to me what is true. I mean, it's a way of asking what is true.
Right.
You can change it. You don't have to ask the question I say.
I
if
see what
it's
you're
not
saying,
vital
though.
to you.
It took me away, like you said, from the gate that's right here.
Yes. And you can do this intellectually. That is the beauty and the curse of coherent sort of non-dual teachings, whether we're Ramana Maharshis or anything else, is they don't rely on faith. They make a certain sort of rational sense if you think them through. Mm-hmm. All that's a plus in the modern era. In the modern era, we're, really stuck on rationality. We have long since ago let go of taking things on faith for most people. So it really makes sense. The drawback, however, is that it makes so much sense.
Right.
Because a mind can follow me up to the point that we've gone really easily if it wants to. We can go, and mind looks in and go, it's pretty clear that I'm not that there's whatever this is that I am, it's something other than these thoughts, because they kind of come and go. And it's all very sort of a rational approach. And then it leads you to sort of a rational dead end, mm-hmm. to sort of an absurd dead end. Well, mm-hmm. I can't find myself. Right? So asking the question is stupid, right, because there isn't one here.
Right.
But here's the kicker. You are here. You very much are here. You're the one asking the question. So just because we get to sort of a dead end as far as rationality can take us, and even though it seems rationally speaking, I can't find any self here, I can't find myself. The dilemma, though, is actually more fantastic, more paradoxical, because you still are very definitely here, even though you can't find yourself. That mystery still remains, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And if you look, it's actually even more vital when you've come to the end of your rationality. Because your rationality says, I can't find myself. And your intuition tells you, I'm here. I'm asking the question. I'm in front of a microphone. I'm wearing a pair of tennis shoes, for God's sake. But what the hell am I? That's where rationality can't take you. That's the beauty of a good spiritual question, is it takes you to the boundary, the limitation of the mind very quickly. You don't get all tied up in all these peripheral matters. It takes you right to the boundary of an intelligent mind almost instantaneously. And that's as far as the mind can go. Because there is something. Now from here you have to transition from thinking, even questioning, into, it's more like sensing. So when you sense, if you're not trying to answer the question of what you are, okay, we'll leave that aside for the moment, because it's delivered us to the boundary. Mm-hmm. It's got us to where we wanted to get very quickly. Mm-hmm. So it's got us there. Now what do we do that we've got to the boundary? We haven't gotten beyond it, but we've gotten right to the boundary. Now we can either go along the boundary and look at, there's lots of graffiti on the boundary of your mind, what everybody's written and said and all the gurus, and it's all there on the boundary, and you can add to it, and you can go on the computer and talk to other people and do blogs on it, but you realize, I'm just graffitiing at the boundary of my own mind. I'm not moving anywhere except, side to side. But there you transition from thought to something else. You start to move now. The only thing that takes you beyond it is you start to get a sense of yourself. Not yourself as a something or a somebody, because you've already seen through that. But when that's gone, what's the sense of that? What's the sense of that? Because it's just like a big, open, empty space, question mark. And your rational mind goes, it's just open and it's empty and there's nothing there. Okay, but we're going beyond the rational mind, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, what's the sense of that space? What's the feel of it? What's the sense of your own being? Do you see? Is it a closed space? Is it a tight space? Is it an open space? Is it a confined space? Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Is it, when you get to that point, is it a male space? Is it a female space? Or do those terms not apply to when you really start to sense into your own reality? Do you see how the sensing part of it starts to take you beyond all the definitions? Mm-hmm. Even the definition of there's nothing here. It's flat line, no vitality, no nothing. Well, that's only because you've gotten to as far as your mind can go. The vital part is when you start to sense beyond it. And so you just sense that. As I often say, the most if you want the awakening, if that's what one wants, the most potent thing I know of is you get to right where you are, and the most you can really kind of say about it is it's sort of like a conscious space. There's nothing there. You can't find yourself. So that's what I mean, space. But it's conscious, right? One is conscious. Awareness. It has awareness within it. So there's a conscious space. Just live in the feel of that conscious space. Live with the sense of it. And in the background, every once in a while, you know that where you're really looking for is really a direct experience of what you really are. And you're right at the doorway, and that's all you have to do is just sense into being that. You get it? Mm-hmm. Okay, now of course you also have to, at a certain point you don't even want to hold on to my words like space, because space, it has a sort of associations as nothing going on, kind of a dead place. But the space, when you sense into this space, this is not a dead space. It's not a space where there's nothing happening. It's very, very vital, very, very, very alive. It takes you even beyond the ideas of space and awareness and all that stuff. But it's the sense of it that takes you beyond all those few remaining concepts. And the rest happens by itself. Just sense into that, the rest happens by itself. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And don't think about it. Don't think about it.
That's the hard part.
I know. That's the hard part. That's why I always say the most difficult thing you can ask anybody to do is to do one simple thing and do it with any consistency. It's very difficult for us as human beings. If I tell somebody to do something quite complicated, breathe in their nostril this way and out this way and count 4 and then exhale on 7. They can do that for the next 20 years. Get the sense and the feel of your own beingness when your mind gets to the edge of itself. It's simple, but they do that for 2 seconds. Like, whoa, okay, now I got another question. It's not easy. It's not easy, but that's it.
Okay.
Just go from the sense and the feel of it, okay? Because this is not an empty emptiness. It's not an empty emptiness. This is an alive, vital thing. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a very, very vital thing, and you'll find that out for yourself.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Thank you very much. and seeing through the thought stuff, that's great. You still have that in your bag of tricks. It comes in it has a great practical handiness to it in life. If you get caught in your mind, you can always pull that one out. But all teachings, all pointers have their limitations. All of them. You have to kind of have the capacity to just go beyond them too.